Hello, I'm Charles McDaniel, and I welcome you back to my channel. This is going to be part of a preliminary video on a series of lessons which I will give you on how to read notes on the staffs. I'm very excited about this because as a teacher for so many years now in the area of piano, I have loved teaching students how to read music and how to become very good pianists, and also as producer of the Symphony Orchestra of Albuquerque to watch all of these wonderful musicians that we have in many instrumental areas. And the fact that they learn to read notes early on and then their careers go from there. And so it's really exciting to bring this set of lessons to you. This I call my preliminary video because sometimes it can get a little bit complex, but not if we take it in pieces. And for any of you who would like to learn how to read music, these are the videos for you. In the series, I will have a series of these talking about, say in lesson 1, a couple of notes that you learn, never more than a couple or 3, because I want it to be very easy and very straightforward. But before we get started, even with lesson number 1 in note reading, I wanted to say a few words about what we call our staff or our grand staff. Most instruments will use one of these two areas right here. This upper one we call the treble staff. Treble, simply the word as you know, meaning higher or upper. And this one, bass, meaning lower. Now, if you're a pianist, they'll also call this the right hand clef. They'll call this the left hand clef. Let's say you're a cello player. Of course, cellists are going to use most of the time this clef right here. Let's say you're a violin or a flute player. You're going to use this one because, of course, those are higher pitched instruments, the violin and the flute, so they're going to be in the higher, the treble area. Whereas lower instruments like the cello and bass and bassoon and so forth, which sound lower, are going to have the notes more in this lower area. Now you will notice immediately that the grand staff is always made a particular way. There's always 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then always 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So lines and spaces is where, of course, all the notes go. Now, it's very interesting because these staffs have been around for hundreds of years and they have proved to be very, very effective. For example, this one right here, believe it or not, and I mention this in the subsequent lessons as well, is a fancy G. You know how our cursive G now is like this, and of course our printed G is like this. This is how they used to make a G, very, very fancy. And so later on in the lessons, you will learn that sure enough, a note that goes right there on that line, right in the middle there, represents a G. This clef down here, you can almost see what it is. It almost looks like a C, but it's not. It's actually an F. And if we do this and fill it in, now you can see it. You know, here's our kind of normal F. Let's say we curve the back of it like this, and then let's say we make it even fancier. Let's do the little dots. It just turned out that these are fancy calligraphy style letters, and actually they literally are letters because clef, spelled C-L-E-F, comes from the Latin clavis, meaning key or note in this case. And so that's where they came up with these, is they wanted this to be a situation to where these would be the pointers, kind of like a stop sign. When we see that, we know exactly what to do when we're driving. Well, on these, when you see these signs, you know exactly what note to play because they're the pointers for how all the notes come to be. Now, for those of you who might even like to make these, of course, the bass clef is more or less easy. You know, you just do a curve and then 2 dots. So that one's very easy to make. The treble clef, on the other hand, no pun intended, is a little bit harder. But I tell students to do it like this. Do a partial, come around like this, and then in another step to go like this. And I can guarantee you can make a treble staff very, very quickly. But anyway, that's just some very, very brief history of what these mean. And the neatest thing is, though, these have been in use for so many years and they have proved to be wonderful for note reading. I hope that you all will look at the next lessons, I started at a very elementary level. Some of you who may be more advanced will appreciate some of the other lessons later where I go into much greater detail. But for now, I hope you will love learning notes as much as I have. And for those of you who haven't seen some of our other videos, we have some very spectacular videos. I love performing, and I have performed a number of piano videos. I also have some students in who have written their own compositions, who are performing. Do check those out on the channel. And of course, always hit the subscribe or like button if you like these videos. We'll hope to see you in the next videos. Thank you.